Good afternoon. My name is Jagadeesh. I work as a malware researcher at Sophos. My colleague Chandraiah, who worked with me on this, unfortunately couldn't make it, so I'll be covering this part. Does anyone recognize this popular Netflix documentary image? So it's got a connection to our presentation. I'll tell what's the connection in the end. Sha Zhu Pan, we started looking about Sha Zhu Pan when someone we knew contacted us and they told they lost about $85,000 in early 2020, late 2020, early 2021. They got sent some fake applications, and then we started looking into it. And around same time, Interpol issued a warning saying there's a investment fraud via dating applications, and there's an increase in this app. And the modus operandi of both what we have seen and the Interpol article both had a similar modus operandi. We started looking into it more, and it was spread worldwide. And as we started looking into it, we learned so many things. In this presentation, we're going to share those findings, and also this is an effort to spread the awareness about Sha Zhu Pan. So what is Sha Zhu Pan? Sha Zhu Pan means, it's a Chinese, means literally in English pig butchering plate. Pig butchering because victims are groomed, fattened like pig, and in the end they are slaughtered. So it's a combination of romance often, but there are some variations in some cases, but mostly romance, social engineering with fake apps and websites. So successful Sha Zhu Pan execution involves several stages. The first one, according to the slang used in Chinese translation, is packaging. The first stage is where you get the profiles, mostly stolen profiles. Some of them could be celebrity profiles. So they get this. You can see a lot of them are pretty professional-looking model pictures. So once they have the pictures, then they build up something like account. On the left, you can see. On the left it's Instagram, right? TikTok. They usually have images which make them look like really rich. They have supercars, mansions, tourist places, high-end restaurant dishes. These profiles sometimes are built on their own, sometimes they purchase through third-party services which are available. The next stage is choosing the pig. So this is where the dating applications comes. They go through the dating applications, find the potential victims. All the popular dating apps use Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, and lately social media applications, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook. The next stage, once they found the pig through the dating application, now next stage is to they move the conversation into a messaging app, like mostly WhatsApp, depending on the location. In Korea, Japan, they use something local. So this is when the grooming happens. So they say, like a typical day, they say every morning, they say good morning, check your everyday updates, and say good night. And then once they become familiar, they'll start pretending to be rich, and then they say, oh, in this case, you can see, I'm supporting 3 poor children to go to school until they graduate, and they pretend to be busy, and to keep fit, I'm going for running. And a lot of cases, they are either investors or consultants or bankers. In this case, you can see they're running a plastic surgery hospital in Shanghai. So they familiarize, they know their date very well now. The next stage, they start introducing the investment crypto. So they tell you, oh, come on, it's time to buy now. I want you to invest. I want you to make you rich like me. And they send a link to the app and give them instructions. You can see on the right, the pointing for Apple download. So, and they walk them through the installation. They have the app. So they let them make some initial withdrawals. So everybody is happy now, and the victim is making money. So this is when the big investment comes. So they say, there's a big investment, so you don't want to be doing like thousands. You need to go to the big league, invest in the hundreds of thousands. So they keep sending these profits. So this is where when the victims invest a lot of their savings and everything. And now they made the profits, they want to withdraw, so they cannot withdraw because they're asking for tax. They want to squeeze more money from the victim. In this screenshot, you can see they are asking the money, and and the victim is begging, just give me my money back. If you don't pay taxes, they'll threaten you to report to the authorities. And you can, on the right, you can see this list of withdrawal records. The first one is success. Every other subsequent records is a failure. So they won't let you take any money out. To summarize, there are stages: initially dating app, then move to messaging, then you install the application, then biggest investment comes, and finally the tax and everything. That's when they kick you out of the application. So we know what Sha Zhu Pan is. Let's look at the fake application and the infrastructure behind this. So most often they copy the legitimate brands because it's easy for them to convince the victims, and also therefore victims are mostly familiar. You can see the MEX group, Bittrex and Bitwala used here. So this is the Golden Way group. It's something we looked at the first time. It's from Hong Kong trading application. This is a copy of that. This usually iOS download and Android download. Let's take a quickly look at how the installation works. So they ask you to download a profile. You can see the top domain. And you can see the chufang.com with the device enrollment happens. Then you install the profile. And it takes you to a page which looks like App Store page, and it's asking you for it's pretending to be from the App Store. You can see 4.9 reviews. So you're installing the app. So let's take a look at the installed application. So if they ask you to register for the first time, so now you have the app installed. So often these guys ask the invitation code. They have invitation code. They wanted, they usually do a targeted installation, so they do not want others to look at it, maybe to avoid unwanted attention, or maybe they don't want researchers to look at it. So the app interfaces is typical. They have trading information and balances, withdrawal, and things like that. So if you look into the iOS applications, here you can see the Robinhood, which is a popular Robinhood, which is a free trading application. It's a copy of that. So it has both native applications as well as the web clip, which is like a shortcut of the web page from your device screen. To support this, they have a lot of websites. This is one of the ones you've seen. You can see the template is similar. They often change the logo and names. There's Hopex, Robinhood, Coinbase. A lot of this every available popular cryptocurrency and trading applications copy. And this is the App Store pages. You can see there are lookalike pages. They have similar structure again, same logos, different names. Yeah, we've seen a lot of pretty much every popular ones copied here. So how do they get into the device? Apple App Store has strict guidelines to get in the App Store. Everything has to be signed by Apple, and even if you use private APIs and if app caches, they won't let you. But what do they do? This Apple also let you install like a custom apps if you have profiles installed on the device. So all you need is want victims to install the profiles. We need to social engineer them. So there are several methods. The first one is called super signature, as it's called in the Asian world. So here they use a developer account. It's also called attack distribution. You can install up to 100 devices. So this is what it looks like. You can see the URL. So in attack distribution, you send over the unique device identifier, and then you get the app. The next method is enterprise signature. Here you use enterprise certificate to install, and you can see on the right, it says the reputation platform is trustworthy and authorized by Apple. This method you can install on a larger number of devices, and whereas in the previous one it's only 100 devices. So again, if you report the certificate to Apple, they will revoke, and everything installed with that certificate will be invalid. But what happens is once that becomes invalid, they move to the new one, and the cycle keeps going. Apple do not have a good way to monitor this. This is not new. It's been happening for a while. It's been abused by APDs and malware in the past. The next method we've seen, this is the BDC box. Somebody reported after seeing our post. It's a Japanese application, so you need a test flight to install this. So this is mostly for meant for beta testing application, but it's abused again. So install the test flight, and you can install in up to 10,000 devices. So how do they do this? Do they maintain the infrastructure for distribution? They do not. So most of the cases, especially they use Asian cheap installation service. Here you can see the iOS signature, one of those services here. All you need is an application. You upload, the platform is ready. You can send the link and installation. So this costs as cheap as like a couple of $100. And you can see in the test flight signature, it's just like 0.9 yuan per device. And they also say if it gets dropped, we can give you a more stable one, which costs a bit more expensive. What about the Android applications? This is what this for the Bitfury app. Like I've seen earlier, it's got both Android and iOS test flight download. You click on the link. Android, it was standard. They used Cordova framework, and the link, you can see the link of the fake comet swap. And in some instances, they used something called String Frog, which is an Asian open source package available, created by someone from Asia. It just obfuscates the strings, and it uses base 64 plus XOR, nothing complicated. We've also seen some apps using decloud.io. Again, this is very popular in China. So now we've seen what Sha Zhu Pan is and how the apps work, how the installation happens. I think it's also important to understand how the users felt in this. A lot of people have lost in millions. UK, which I've come across like in thousands. There are some non-profit organizations working on this as well. They have said a lot of millions of dollars have been lost. There are more people who lost millions. So after we wrote a post, these are some of the comments. You can see somebody who lost like $500,000 for a fake BTG crypto trading site. And they've been asked to pay 20% tax. And one more case where they used test flight and they lost about $270,000. What about the demography? We've seen, based on the telemetry and on the users who saw our reports and came back to us, we've seen Australia, Asia, Europe, North America. both all genders, female, male. According to some of the police reports in Asia, it was the female 30 to 40 increasingly. So we look at one case study. So this user contacted when she lost about $1 million. We asked her to share the details after, to help the research. She was very happy and shared and communicated with us to understand more about this. Yeah, she lost her pension, savings, everything, and she was asked to pay about $600,000. She used something called ZBG. I don't know if any legitimate one exists. So you can see the App Store. They claim to be from App Store. So initially, at the beginning, deposited small amounts to test out. It worked, and then he was willing to teach me. And because she was installing it on her own, and she had the login password, everything, she thought it's just like any finance app. I'm doing it, so it's got to be safe. And then what happens is, so she gets the screenshots. The crook is install the same application, and he's doing the same transactions, and he's sending the profit every now and then, saying, "Oh, look at this! I'm making this much money. I've invested this. Come on, you need to invest this as well." So it's a way of convincing the victim. So on this right, you can see the withdrawal records of the crook. So you can see a lot of them in millions. So that's what convinces the victim to invest more. So they want to get to the next stage of becoming rich. So, and also they get like updates on how much they are making. So here you can see in 60 seconds they made 30% and $11,000 in another case. So this is when the big investment, like I said earlier, happens. Bigger the profits, bigger you make. So they ask you to invest up to 50,000, and then if you want 100% profit, you need to invest like $1 million. Again, it varies between the cases. If you are depending on the financial situation, the numbers will vary. So at the end of this, she had about 4 million balance, 1 million of her own money, 3 million is fake. So this, she wanted to withdraw, and then what happened was they asked the tax. So 3 million is the profit, and 600,000 is a tax. She had lost all her savings, pension, everything. She couldn't pay, and then he comes up and says, "I'll lend you the half. Go borrow from your friends or relatives." And then that's when they contacted us, and then we looked at it, and it was similar to what we have seen earlier. And then that's when they reported it to the authorities. So it's easier to judge. So people fall for this, but let's understand why it happens. Even though there are so many red flags, you need to install the profile, the fake-looking pages, but you need to understand why they still do it. So one of the reasons is this happened during COVID. If you see from 2017, the cryptocurrency has really raised during 2020 and 2021 from nothing to almost $60,000, and returns is like almost 3,000% in some of the coins like Dogecoin, everything. So, and also the finance applications become really popular. So we don't have physical branches, but you have finance apps. People just install and use it, just based on the name. This also convinced people to, thinking this is regular. So a lot of these people who got affected were vulnerable position. Some of them were in the dating pool for a longer time. Some of them were coming out of the illness. Some of them are widows or widowers who wanted, to find their partners. And there was one case where he missed out on the Google and Apple investment, so he didn't want to miss out on the crypto. So he invested all his savings because he wanted to make big. And also the platform trust plays a big role as well, because Android and Google, so a lot of it's open. Most research happens with Apple. It's very close, and often you read reports in the App Store. There's less malware, and you can see in one case where it's one affected user said, "Oh, it's verified by Apple, and it's got a green tick. I thought it's got to be safe." And also they do the mirroring transactions where, like I said earlier, they do initially they do the same transaction as you, and then keep sending the profit. That also convinces the victims. And this, the data like available in social media platforms also plays a big role. So the crooks get this data, they know the interest, they know how to bait their victims. In a lot of cases, at the end, when it comes to the tax stage, so the victims have made a lot of money, and they know some more often times in millions, so they do not want to walk out of these millions of dollars. So they somehow get more money and then put more money into this, hoping they can take the money out. So who is behind this, or who could be behind this? So around 2010, based on some of the data seen in Asia, started targeting in China, Taiwan. It was mostly gambling, online casinos, similar modus operandi. They convince you, and then they say there's somebody insider, get the money, and then they later on moved to investments in cryptocurrencies. And then Chinese law enforcement started cracking down. All the ones at the bottom of the chain got caught. The big pins at the top of the chain, they fled to other small Southeast Asian countries like Cambodia, Myanmar, some Malaysia, Philippines. And then in 2019, COVID happened. It really helped them to expand to Europe and Americas, because in the first case what happened, they used a fake profile. It happened in the UK. So he had a fake profile, fake UK address. And then every time he wanted to meet, they wanted to meet, he kept on saying, "This COVID-19, I can't meet you." And he kept on making excuses. This helped big in the success of overseas execution of Sha Zhu Pan. When the Chinese police did the crackdown, they got some records from the people they caught. Based on that, this works like a corporate structure. They have a head office, and agents work like a franchise. They have a front desk which handles trafficking, on-site management, logistics, and the crime handling. And they have a tech group as well, which handles the app, websites, and things like that. And finance-related operations will be handled by the finance team. And the last one is the keyboarders. Keyboarders are the ones who actually chat with the victims. Here you can see this was based on the report from The Voice, which they did recently, based on the information from one of the non-profit organizations. So you can see a lot of iPhones as well. Maybe some of them could be Android as well. They're doing a group chat. And a lot of these keyboarders are traffic victims. So especially when COVID-19 happened in Asia, so a lot of them couldn't meet their daily needs as well, because there's no job, nothing. And then you see these adverts across the border, and then you go there, and then they're taken in the vehicle. They confiscate their passports, and then you do it, or if you don't, you will be subjected to tortures, and you paid commission-based salary, but most often they don't pay you commission-based salary because everything is treated as expense. So this was one of they used training script to train the trainees. This is again from the data collected from the Chinese police records. So you can see they give a training to what to send to their victims, like keep sending the bags, luxury bags, jewelry, tourist attraction pictures, and keep saying them to work hard, come up and send high-end meal restaurant pictures, etc. This was from a previous version. The new one could be much different. So we also check in one of the apps, pretended to be a victim, and you can see there's a fake Kraken app. And we asked where should we send the money. You can see they sent Hong Kong, Shanghai banking limited address. It could be a mule account. You don't know, it didn't follow through. So what next? Is this still active? But with COVID-19 going down and the cryptocurrency going down, I think it's played a major part. It's slowed down a bit. So if it happens in the UK, it goes to the action fraud based on the feedback from the affected users. So action fraud has not taken much action. FTC has an agent who's looking at this. They say there's a lot of cases, but because it's cross-border, they haven't done anything. So far, none of them who have directly communicated with has been able to recover any funds, except one case where we contacted the local finance reporter, and then the bank was being kind and they partially gave the refund, like half what they invested, just out of courtesy. And there was one case where I read where the crypto app was able to recover the money before it was sent. On top of that, once they come out, there are so many recovery scams. They say, I'll get the money back, pay me some money. So there's also this. So how can we overcome this? Because of the decentralized of the cryptocurrency, again, it's become a problem for traceability. So it's an advantage for the crooks. So it's difficult to see where it's going. So it's also playing a major role. To combat this, I think we need a collective response from like government, app platforms, and the finance tech, because if you search for a finance app or any banking application or cryptocurrency application, there's hundreds of them. Really, if you are not a savvy person, it's difficult to know which is real, which is fake. Maybe we should have a register, government-approved register, where we can, users can cross-check what is there, what's not there. So it's often difficult to see your work, reaching an end user. In our case, we are fortunate to see some of the feedback. We were able to, stop some of the people from investing into this. In some cases, a lot of cases, they usually come to us at the time of the tax stage where we couldn't help. But some of them read our reports earlier, and they were able to Google search and then see that it's really a fraud. So this was in the one of the training skip. This is what their motto is: there's no unscammable person. Everybody just needs the right script. So that's what motivates them. Last but not least, the documentary the Tinder Flinder. Maybe you heard of it. So in our case, it's virtual. They don't meet each other. It was in Tinder Swindler. It happens in real case, similar to what happens in Sha Zhu Pan. With that, I want to complete my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take.
Okay, that was an interesting presentation. We have time for one question. Up front here. Oh, just wait for the microphone, please.
Thank you. Jack, it's a great presentation, really interesting. It's not really a question, I just want to share some experience, no, not my experience. I mean, I know two ladies in the UK who were the victim of this scam. Again, have nothing to do with me, okay? So one of the lady was a piano teacher in London. She was a teacher of my friend's daughter, piano teacher. She said she lost 100K, a pound, And another lady was, my friend's PhD student or researcher, a fellow, I don't know. She lost 20,000 pounds. Yeah, they were both, the victim of this Sha Zhu Pan. Yeah, so it's a real, threat. Thank you, Jack.
Okay, well, please join me in thanking Jagadeesh for his presentation.
Thank you.